Welcome to the shed here at Cats 3000's headquarters in Brighton in the UK, at the bottom of my garden, and an idea to share with you which could make you uncomfortable. You may well recognise it, or you might find yourself quite inspired by it. You probably hear a lot of advice around productive and non-productive time. You can buy books on time management, and there's a lot of advice and wisdom out there at the moment, and 10 tips and 5 things to do to ensure that your day is productive as ever. But the world of social media and the world of your smartphones has been well documented, particularly in recent years, that you can start to lose hours of your day in 2 states that I call digital drift and digital stupor. Digital drift is when you just find yourself going online as a reaction to something onto your smartphone because of an alert, or because of a habit you like to keep connecting with your phone. And what you find is that what you intended to do starts to drift, and you start wilfing, which stands for what was I looking for? And what began as, well, I think I might just check out the price of a train, ends up looking at timeshare accommodation on the other side of the world because you've clicked on an advert that's offering you something for free, or it could be that a friend has shared something on social media and there's a photograph of them saying, hey, it's just stayed for almost no money on this Greek island. We booked it at the last minute, and you're thinking of a holiday. You look on there, before you know it, that particular island is offering writers' retreats, and you've got writer's block, and you go way off what you're originally looking to do and may even forget what your original purpose was. And an hour goes by, or half an hour, and it's time you can't get back, to use that well-known cliched phrase. But what that really means is not only could the time be unproductive, but actually it's lost time. And some of the evidence around is we're spending hours and hours a day with time we can't get back. Positively, you can go online and just decide to drift, and it's fine. And it's not time you want to get back. Just like any form of idling or entertainment, that can be good for us. But when it starts to actually take hours and hours of your day, affecting your ability to do other things, and just making you look back over your day feeling a little bit empty, like you've eaten a lot but not really tasted it, that's digital drift. When that stretches to literally hours per day, and then hours per week, days per week even, some people spending 24 to 48 hours per week online in digital drift, that stupor, that kind of trancey state, starts to really take a lot from your life. And you can measure it physically. People that you used to meet, you don't meet so much. Family that you used to spend dinner time with, you're now in your room, your bedroom or your shed, and you're just online. And only you know, looking back, that your life starts to feel a bit thinner. That you're a bit like, to quote from Lord of the Rings, I think it was, butter spread over too much bread. That you're doing a lot but not achieving very much. Digital drift runs alongside digital distraction, that you keep reacting, you keep getting drawn in, and instead of finding that really positive way to enjoy surfing and flowing and going from place to place over a coffee online and not really minding where you get to, just having some fun, that fun starts to become almost a stealer of a third of your day. And that's probably not what you intended. If it was, then that's fine. But if actually you had other things to do, and part of the bigger picture was to take yourself somewhere in your life to a better place, a new career, to achieve some goals if you had set them, or just explore something, digital drift tends to take you down a tangent, through a tangent, down a blind alley. It takes you to places that actually corporations would like you to go. They keep putting out attention seekers, and you drift in that direction. And when it's for hours and hours, anyone filming you would just see your face, a bit like me looking now at the camera, just staring at a screen. And even some people suggest, of course, that that's exactly what is going, that the cameras are looking at you, looking at what your eyes are doing, what adverts you're looking at, and trying to make that drift and that stupor last even longer, but also where you're drifting in the direction that you haven't even chosen to drift in. Wilfing, what was I looking for, means you end up in places you didn't even want to go, but actually they feel like the end of a road that doesn't really have any purpose. If we ended up somewhere we hadn't planned, but it was somewhere good, well, that can be a good thing, and that's a kind of positive drift, and that can happen too. But more and more people are spending more and more time on every spare moment standing at a bus stop, walking along the street while they're eating, when they could have been spending time with family, while they're in bed getting ready for sleep, as they wake up, even in the bath. and of course at work, digitally drifting in a state of stupor, and actually finding that the 70, 80, 90, 100 years of their life, that 40 years of it is empty, without real substance, and nothing they can really harvest in terms of their learning. It's time you can't get back. And what do you do about it? And the danger is that you can end up in a really negative place. The usual denial of the internet, the idea that we have to turn off, move away from it. And for some people that are really addicted, a bit like not having another drink, you may have to do that. But the other thing that you can do is also put yourself into a place where you're doing the opposite of drifting, where you're venturing, where you're travelling, where you choose a certain time to go online with very, very clear idea of what you're looking for. And if you decide to have half an hour of drift, just to go where you're led and you want to do that, we'll put some time limits on it. Just like good time management, actually, that's where it does come in. Set an alarm for half an hour with a 5-minute warning that it's time to come off. And you might notice that your willpower is either stronger or weaker as a result of doing that. I don't think digital drift is mostly good for us when it goes over literally half an hour to an hour to 2 hours, and we're doing it a lot because we've forgotten and even fear to actually be in control of our own lives, and to look up and look out of the window and see that there's actually a world out there too. You can find it harder to engage with nature. You can find it harder to be in a room with real people and keep the conversation going, because digital drift also is asking you to do stuff with your fingertips and not to speak and not to look and not to do eye contact and not to be physical and not to really taste and really smell and not to enjoy the silence of just listening. It's a state of stupor because you're kind of slowing down, and it can even speed up, but what you're really doing is not really being yourself. You're looking out from behind your eyes. Your fingertips are just submitting. Yeah, that's the submit button I often refer to. It kind of means surrender as well. I encourage you to get that time back, because life, I believe, is precious, and the moments that we spend are not supposed to be wasted that often. I've certainly spoken to people a lot older than me that look back on a life well lived and they feel fulfilled, and that's from really living. It's not about denying the digital, it's about choosing it in ways that are of value to you and the people around you, and to learn to have a strong enough will, which gets kind of degraded, it kind of gets eroded by organisations that want us to be in that state of drift, where they're actually pushing our boat but we feel we're drifting. And they take us to places where we're looking at products and services and getting engaged in things that may be relevant to us in terms of keywords, but aren't actually, when we look back, taking us forward in terms of developing ourselves. It can be developing your wealth, it can be developing your feeling of happiness or fulfillment, and your ability to serve and be part of the world around you. If you feel that you're in that state of digital drift, if you look back over a week and realise how many hours you spent and it didn't really take you forward online, then I suggest it's time to take control of your own boat, stop drifting and start navigating.